Hey everyone, Daniel Linder here. I'm a marriage family therapist in private practice in the San Francisco Bay Area for over 30 years, an addiction specialist and a relationship trainer. And I am the creator of the relationship model of addiction. Purpose of these video blogs is for me to be a guiding light for you and a source of inspiration as you encounter obstacles and challenges on your path of recovery and transitioning relationships from unhealthy ones to healthy ones. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to continue about the stages of recovery, the 3 stages of recovery, with a focus on the second stage of recovery, which I call self-work or self-care. And I'm going to start now, so I'm going to surprise you. I'm going to start with a poem that I wrote, and then we're going to go from there. So I'm going to read this poem, okay? And the name of the poem is Your Best Friend. Your best friend. Your best friend dangles all I ever wanted or needed within. Surrounds me in a cocoon that keeps me safe all of the time, safe to open, come out, be myself fully. My best friend respects, trusts, accepts, understands me, is always interested in me and is always there for me, like no one else ever was or could be, like God. In this relationship, I am loved unconditionally, just as I am. My best friend listens to me like no one else, knows me like no one else, talks to me like no one else, pays attention to me, believes in me. Unbelievably, suddenly I'm special. What I feel and want matter most. I'm number one. Is it me or you or me and myself? In one, there is both. Both are one when engaged, relating, communing. This sacred relationship fills the void of erupting and irrepressible longing. How long has it been since you were one with yourself? Me, myself, and I. Together, we make I, a source of guidance, of light, of love, no longer to depend on anyone else more than myself. I am the leader of my life. I am the center of my universe. I am my own best friend. So you may have gathered what the theme is in this part of this focus on self-work. I've talked about self-work before, and I also call this developing a relationship with yourself. And I talked a little bit about what that means, and this is another spin on it. Developing a relationship with yourself means, being your own best friend, considering you as your best friend to yourself. And that may be a stretch for many, many people, because most of our lives are spent in an addiction or externally based when our well-being and self-worth are externally based. We're not providing any nourishment or guidance or sustenance from within. So it's really in the second stage of recovery, after you achieve a period of sustained stabilization. It's a period of intensive self-work, self-care, taking care of yourself, and developing that relationship with yourself. So in terms of best friend, being your own best friend, this comes up in times like when you're lonely and blue. When you're lonely and blue, I have been dealing with so many people who are struggling with loneliness. And it's really, really hard, because when you want that deeper connection with someone and they're not there, it's really painful because you feel that longing erupting and irrepressible. However, what's often forgotten is that you're there. You're there and you can be there with yourself. And you are a viable person to commune and relate, to talk to and listen to yourself and deepen that relationship and kind of grow with that relationship and kind of entertain yourself and be with someone so you're never alone when because you're always there. You always have you. Now, this is a practice to kind of get this in your head. I'm planting a seed and I'm talking about it, but the real truth of it, the effect of it, the power of it will come when you use it, when you're feeling lonely and blue, to look to see whether you can divert your attention away from what you're missing out there, who's not there for you, what you're missing, to what you have right now, and how full and whole that could be in that moment where that loneliness can be alleviated. Another time this comes up a lot, well, so this week when I was talking to someone who crashed and burned after a very devastating and destructive manic phase, an extended manic phase, and he's kind of picking up the pieces of his life and looking at all the destruction that he wrecked on his life, in his business, in his personal life, through his impulsivity and impaired judgment and destructive decisions that he did. He was so depressed and he was so demoralized and so hopeless, and he was just couldn't find motivation within himself to do anything. And this is someone that I have seen in my life. I've known him for many, many years. He has resiliency. He's crashed and burned before and picked himself up and rose up and accomplished tremendous things. And then, you know, it's like kind of like a roller coaster of his life. But I was asking him about, or how are you treating yourself? Are you a friend to yourself? What could you do to help yourself and be your own best friend? And I was asking him, how could you be looking for someone else to kind of take care of you or rescue you or save you or fix you or help you right now when you are so void within yourself, where you are not bringing to the table what you can do for yourself? You're not being your own best friend. How could you expect anyone else to be a friend to you if you can't be a friend to yourself? That kind of thing. Also along the line of the self-work, self-care, developing a relationship with yourself. I defined developing a relationship with yourself as being self-aware and emotionally connected, and being aware of what you're thinking, feeling, and wanting at any given moment in time. Being aware of what you're experiencing, so you could give that a voice. And you can give that a voice, and you could also be operating in your own interests all the time. So you're representing yourself by expressing whatever thoughts, feelings, and wants you have. And you are your own strongest advocate, always operating in your own best interests. And that's what developing a relationship with yourself means. And so an example of how this plays out, like in relationships, we talked about addiction, how addiction affects your ability to be in a relationship, and codependency as being more focused on the other person than on yourself. Well, what I've seen a lot with people in recovery, their relationships are very one-sided, and because of your family of origin experience and lack of safety and feelings of low self-worth, and basic insecurity about relationships, you developed a way of relating and conducting yourself in relationships to desperately hang on to the relationship. And the way that you do that is by focusing on the other person, taking care of them, making them feel better, just really focusing on the other person and losing yourself in the process. So you develop relationships with other people where you don't really exist in the relationship, because you're so desperate to have the relationship, and you learn to do that, derive that security and get some of those needs met by taking care of the other person and leaving yourself in the dust. So the challenge in these situations is the therapy that you do is to start relating to those people so that you're there, you're present along with the connection that you want to have with them. So the relationship does not come at your expense, and so that you could have a relationship that you actually exist in. And when you're putting yourself out, what your thoughts and wants and feelings are, you can compare notes and basically say, this is where I am, where are you? And then from that place, you can create a bond and a way of moving forward and resolving, whatever it is that you want to do together. So I'm going to continue this in the next week. I'm going to be talking more about this stage of self-work, self-care, what that means. So again, if you have any questions about this, you have any comments about it, please leave them on the Facebook page, and I will respond to them here. So until then, the quality of your relationships is the quality of your life.